We're going to invite Managing Editor Florian Eder up to the podium and to introduce Martin Schulz, the President of the European Parliament. Thank you, Florian.
Oh, yeah. Good. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. President, you have a mic, I haven't.
Yeah.
Mr. President.
Mr. Eder.
Martin.
Florian.
You just come from the European Council a bit down the road, and we're grateful that you could make it indeed. Let me use you as a first-hand source, first of all. Did you leave the Council meeting with the feeling that Europe's going to do something meaningful this time and to tackle the issue of migration and to prevent catastrophes like the one last weekend?
No. I didn't leave the Council with that feeling. The fact that the Council was called by the heads of state and government is drawing the problem on the highest possible level in the European Union, and that raises a lot of expectation. And my fear is that the answers to the expectation are very poor. Looking to the draft conclusions of the Council, neither the necessary steps to bring more order in a complete migration policy on disorder in the European Union, nor to mobilize the necessary financial means for the fight for more humanitarian aid on one side and the fight against human trafficking on the other side is in the draft conclusion. Therefore, I'm not so optimistic.
What's the chance that Germany is doing more? Should Germany do more?
I think Germany is as Jens just rightly said, also in on other levels, in other fields, the leading member states of the European Union. And looking to Germany, it is difficult to answer. Should Germany do more? In some fields, Germany does more than any other countries. For example, asylum seekers. Germany had the highest number of asylum seekers, 200,000 last year. Of all member states in the European Union, 50% of the refugees coming to the European Union are going to 3 countries, Sweden, France and Germany. 90% to 9. Germany always on the first place. So the Germans are doing a lot. For example, the so-called blue card system, that you can get a certain access, legal access to the European labor market. Sweden and Germany are the 2 countries who used that. All the other countries didn't participate, so Germany is doing a lot on one hand. But on the other hand, the Germans, if they would, for example, draw other countries with them for a legal system of immigration, for more enlarged temporary protection for civil war refugees, and for a reform, a necessary reform of the Dublin Convention, then we would move faster ahead. So it is a little bit ambiguous. Germany is in some levels a leading force, in other areas very reluctant.
And now tell us, what were leaders really talking about next to the official program? Was it Greece?
I hope that we will find a solution for Greece. I just had the chance to speak to Tsipras, and this was very nice. I expected to meet a Greek prime minister in a deep psychological, I avoid to say crisis, but worried perhaps. I met a very reluctant, very relaxed man who laughed, no tie as usual. And I asked him, I said, how are things going? Yeah, not so bad. And I said, not privately in the country. Yeah, we will see. So I hope that we will see a result in a foreseeable time. Honestly, I think tomorrow in Riga will not be an agreement, but until the end, until the 13th of April, I'm relatively optimistic that Greece will present a reform program.
You told the Bild-Zeitung today's issue that you were a bit more optimistic about that you were seeing signs that Greece has a will to cooperate. Where does that come from?
Those people in the Commission, also in the Council, in the Eurogroup, who are negotiating with the Greeks and with the Greek representatives, told me that there is now for the first time a real sense of movement in the direction of reliable figures on one hand and concrete proposals for reform steps in the administration, in the tax system, in the public administration, and a plan for sustainable development in some of the most important investment areas, as it is renewable energy, the tourism sector, also agriculture. So there were those who are negotiating about the technical implementation of the reform programs were more optimistic than in the last 2-3 weeks, and that's the reason why my impression is, I know that people, and I know that they are very, very hesitating to be optimistic. When they are optimistic, I was so courageous to say there are signals, because I know that the people from the Commission, for example, they were very skeptical, and now they are a little bit more optimistic.
You fought rather hard for the right to be with the leaders every time they gather for a European Council, and for the heart to lecture them every time. Did you have the feeling that you're welcome today?
Yeah.
Not more than in the past?
No, I think now they surrendered. They gave up. They know that they can't get rid of me, and therefore they live with me. Welcome is perhaps another thing. So to be welcome is, I had the feeling that I was welcomed here. So your welcome was more polite than the welcome is usually there. But it is split. There are some. I think there are some heads of governments who really don't like my presence because they think that the European Parliament has no say, but the overwhelming majority of the heads of states and government accepted, for example, in this so-called Spitzenkandidaten process at the end, the proposal of the European Parliament. Also, the strategy of the European Parliament, I think the biggest success we had during the last period in the Parliament and in the beginning of the now period was not that we said as Parliament, we insist that the next President of the Commission is elected by us and should be one of these candidates, and that we after the election stick to what we promised before the election, only to vote for somebody who ran as a candidate was not a surprise. The real surprise was, and the success was, that there was a vote in the Council. The Council was very divided. You remember this boat trip of Angela Merkel with some of the
leaders in Sweden,
David Cameron and Reinfeldt and Rutte in Stockholm. They discussed how to avoid that step, and at the end there was a vote. And the vote was 26 against 2. And this was the biggest success, that the heads of states and government with a vote accepted the strategy of the Parliament. And I think this is the divisions. 26 are delighted to see me, and there are 2 who are relatively modest in their politeness with me.
Let me quote you. Last year, on board of a tiny little charter airplane en route from Berlin to Brussels on the evening of the European elections, you told me and a few colleagues, and I quote, even if I won't be Commission President, I'll have written history of democracy. Now, a year after that, how's life as a history maker?
That's really, I said this?
Just have a look in Die Welt.
Yeah. No, this is history maker. I think the European Parliament changed the treaty without a treaty change. This is without any precedent. And therefore, no, I'm proud that we achieved at the end an enormous step forward in democratization of the European institutions, that the highest executive post in Europe, President of the European Commission, depends not longer from a deal in a backdoor deal, but depends from a vote of citizens and from a vote in the parliament. That's not on a compromise on the minimum consensus. This is an enormous step forward.
And what makes you sure that this is now, this was not a one-time flirt with voters' will only?
I'm since 21 years parliamentarian, and I know no national parliaments and the European Parliament. Once a parliament has achieved something, has acquired an additional right, never parliament will give this up. Okay, I know that some people say, yeah, this was now, but let's see next time. The next European Parliament will not vote a Commission President who has not run as a candidate. This is absolutely clear.
And what do you need to do, or does the Parliament to do, in order to ensure that the next Parliament has the right to vote for the European Commission President again? Are there any steps that you need to...
Oh, we will repeat what we did now. The parliamentarian groups who voted now Juncker as president will insist that the mandate to build a commission is given by a majority of the parliament to one candidate who is leading, who is suggested by the majority of the parliamentarians. Not perhaps always the biggest parliamentarian group. The candidate, man or woman, who brings in the first round a majority of the parliamentarians behind himself or herself will be the candidate. And quite clear on the basis of the treaty, the Council can suggest another candidate, but that candidate will not get a majority in the Parliament. And therefore, I think that was what I just mentioned. The heads of state and government recognized, to avoid long-lasting interinstitutional conflict between Council and Parliament, the heads of states and government, by the way, most of them are party leaders. And as party leaders, members of political families in the European Union, of European political party families, suggesting the candidates, they will, and they did, and they will in future not run the risk of a real confrontation between the institutions. They will lose. Prime ministers, presidents have this is my experience, they want to win. And if they see that they can't win, they behave reasonable.
Mr. Juncker and you share a passion for, let's call it, vintage mobile phones. I don't know
about
if you...
what?
About old mobile phones. You don't have an... Mm-hmm. You have an old Nokia and he has kind of the same model. What else do you have in common?
No, mine is older than his one. I think Juncker is a kind of social democrat who goes on Sunday mornings to the church as a good Catholic. And
how did he end up in the Christian Democrats party?
Yeah, it shows that nobody is free from an error. No, Juncker is a deeply convinced pro-European. He is a man of dialogue. I appreciate a lot that Jean-Claude Juncker, despite the fact that he was 19 years the prime minister of a country with a relatively difficult tax system, he is a man of reliable agreements. He has a clear position, but with Juncker you can agree, and once he has given you a promise, he sticks to what he promised, and that's really something I appreciate and we have in common.
I think we're running out of time, but two more short questions. You've been keeping a diary for 20 years. Today, or even more today, what will you write in that?
What will?
What will you write in your Tagebuch?
In my Tagebuch, in 20 years' time?
No, today.
Today? Ah, I misunderstood you. What will I write in my Tagebuch today? What a career made Florian Eder.
Thanks very much.
And he can't keep things on the flight from Berlin to Brussels secret.
That wasn't secret, it was on the record.
That's always journalists who tell me that's on record.
Very last question.
Okay.
You're a member of the European Parliament since 1994, president of the Socialists and Democrats group, president of the Parliament. What comes next for you?
Next to me?
Next for you.
Yeah, I take my car and I return at home. That's it.
And after your term as a president of the European Parliament, let me help you. How likely is
No, I'm first of all, it's like Jens Stoltenberg said, I take him as an example. I finished to discuss about things who are so far away, 2017, what will happen in 2017? We are struggling like Politico to survive every day, and what will be with Politico in 2017?
Oh, we're here to stay.
Perhaps belonging to Google. Okay.
Give us a percentage chance that we see you back in German politics, and that's really the last question.
No, I am in German politics. I'm a member of the executive board of the SPD, a governmental party in Germany, and I'm the longest serving member of this body. I'm since 1998 a member of the executive board, 10 members of the biggest social democratic party in Germany. I was already in Gerhard Schröder's time. And the party leader in this time when I was elected was called Oskar Lafontaine. And I survived Lafontaine, I survived Schröder, I survived Müntefering, I survived Kurt Beck, Platzek, and now I'm with Sigmar Gabriel. So I'm in the German national politics, as you know. And what I did is, in my eyes, an important thing for the European Union, exceptional but necessary. With an enormous investment of time, I tried to combine my mandate here in Brussels with a role in my national parliament, in my national party. And that led to the fact that for the first time in my party, people recognized that the work of the job of a member of the European Parliament is as important as a member of the Abgeordnetenhaus in Berlin, for example, or the Landtag of Schleswig-Holstein, or the German Bundestag. So that was what I did, and I will continue to do so in a mixed job, European politics on the European level, national politics on the national level.
We'll take that and we'll see what you will be doing in 2017. And thanks so much for having it made. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
That was great to have you.